Hi everyone. Today, I'd like to share a practical method for integrating IFC-based rebar families into a structural modeling workflow and how this approach becomes even more powerful with Rhino.Inside.Revit. The core problem is a reinforcement family limitations. Let's start with a simple but well-known problem. Revit currently does not allow creating native reinforcement families using standard family templates. Rebar falls under the structural rebar category, which is not accessible through the family editor. This is a major limitation. There are two types of IFC-based rebar families. Simple families that include only one rebar element. Nested rebar families with multiple embedding levels. To overcome this limitation, IFC-based rebar families can be used to create parametric reinforcement that can be reusable, adjustable, fully shared parameter controlled, scheduled and documented, integrated into automation workflows. Key advantages include standardization, repeatable detailing across similar elements, parametric customization of reinforcement, scheduling capability, values can be computed and pushed to schedules. Reduced rework, unlike using plugins, dimensions and annotations remain valid after modification in most cases. Main drawbacks: more complex development, especially for deeply nested families. No official documentation and less learning materials. Additional shared parameters are required to replace unavailable native ones. This is not a solution for elements with complex geometry. To be more precise, it will be very laborious. To get around limitations in Revit, we can hack the process in a clear and manageable way that includes 4 major steps. After all manipulation that you can see on slide, the rebar geometry adopts the structural rebar category, making it visible in documentation. The RFA file can now be nested into other families as a parametric embedded reinforcement. Important considerations: you must adjust host transparency to make geometry of family visible. IFC-based rebar does not support native rebar built-in parameters. Therefore, you must create custom shared parameters for scheduling and tagging. Also, both IFC-based rebar families and native rebar should have a common parameter that will help Revit distinguish the type of reinforcement. To unify native rebar and IFC rebar in schedules or tags, you must create calculated values using logical functions, if, and, or, to switch between parameter sets. Example of the IFC-based rebar family, column reinforcement family. The main family belongs to the structural columns category, and include families of rebars and stirrups that belong to the structural rebar category. In family you can change the column size, the type of reinforcement, practical examples using Rhino.Inside.Revit. The first example presents starter rebar for strip foundations. As a result, the family is easily connected, and the length of rebar is corresponded to the length of foundation. Fully parametric placement. No manual remodeling required during changes. Adjustable reinforcement. The second example shows reinforcement of slab openings. Modified instantly when opening size changes. Can be cloned automatically across multiple slabs. Also modified instantly when reinforcement or location of openings changes too. The last example is the approach to column reinforcement. Process to 1098 vertical and slanted columns in approximate 8 minutes. Reinforcement is visible in Rhino and Revit simultaneously. This confirms the method is not just theoretical, it works efficiently. In real design conditions, there will be many more types of columns, differing in size, and types of reinforcement. All columns will need to be sorted before connection, which will lead to a more complex algorithm. The execution time will depend on the PC specifications. The 8 minutes example was run on PC with the following specifications. This approach is based on knowledge shared by two experts, Alexander Kanavets, from Ukraine, and Alexander Zuev, from Kazakhstan. You can explore yourself the IFC-based rebar families. To sum, while Rhino.Inside.Revit rebar components are still under development and evolving, it's already possible to integrate IFC-based rebar families into the workflow using existing Rhino.Inside.Revit functionality. It is not a perfect solution, but this approach is practical and works today.